Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy new day. Welcome to Free to Hope Morning Recovery Conversation with Edwina B. That's me, y'all. On applying the 12 steps to COVID-19. This is day 84 of me surviving COVID-19 along with 7 other family members, only by the grace of God. The FREE stands for From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. And as a result of Free to Hope, the 12 steps were created and still standing 80 plus years later by the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud and humble member for over 30 years. And we just celebrated 31 years on February the 23rd of 2021. And only one day at a time. So truly, I am grateful. I am humble. And I thank God for waking us up this morning, breathing life into you, breathing life into me, so that we can engage in applying these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature in order to combat and stop the perpetuation of COVID-19, its effects, its impact, its outcome, and fatalities. So we want to first give homage to our Creator, who again knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this COVID-19, as well as give homage to those who have transitioned with COVID-19, those who were left behind, those who are suffering at this very moment, those who are in denial, those who are intervening on behalf of those with COVID-19, those who are doing the next right thing with COVID-19, those who are either in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19, those who are being proactive, reactive, inactive, and responsible for COVID-19. In essence, we want to give homage to the entire human race because we are in this together. And so in the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we usually practice giving a moment of silence just to give homage. And we're going to pay homage just for 30 seconds to our Creator and the entire human race. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the entire human race, those who can say thank you, those who refuse to say thank you, those who are unable to say thank you, and those who want to say thank you, and thanking me for thanking them to thank you. To God be all the glory. So, as you can see, celebrating 31 years as of February the 23rd of 2021, I am still in my celebratory mood and have been for the last week or so. And that's not going to stop because in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, every day is a holiday. Every day is an anniversary. Every day is a birthday because the Creator said, I give you this day. And so as a result of Him breathing life into you and to me this morning, we are going to embrace the 12 spiritual principles, apply them to COVID-19 so that you and I can be a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem. So, after giving homage, I want to next acknowledge my sponsors and mention to you some of my new sponsors that are coming on board. So, the information for our sponsors are the information to the public is free. However, we do solicit sponsors so that we can advertise their service, advertise their business, and hopefully you get to patronize them. But more importantly, they are my sponsors because they believe in what we're doing. They support our effort in getting the word out for people like you and like me to continue practicing the CDC simple suggestions. And if the 12 steps are going to help us do that, then by all means, we need all the help that we can get. So our sponsors include Crafty Crab Seafood, where I had my anniversary gathering with the CDC suggestions. Free to Hope, from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Women Do Hall Transportation Services. Mr. C's Barbershop is responsible for my crown. Morgan's of Delaware, I'm wearing one of her outfits today. And Lady T at Morgan's of Delaware, my Afrocentric attire. Jewelry by Catherine Butler. And Divine Light. And many of you know I wear Divine Light mask. We'll wear your mask should you create one and for you to be a sponsor. But Divine Light aligns with the 12-step program that Dr. Carl Jung, Dr. Bob, and Bill W. realized that people with the disease of alcoholism need divine providence, divine intervention that will bring about divine light. Coming to you next week will be my new sponsors, Levante and Dorsey and Associates, LLC, Families and Communities with Christopher Pender, Ebony Madry with her therapy and counseling session. I think her company is called Patchwork. We're also going to advertise Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey and Dr. Jay Macklin. They are my upcoming sponsors that I will promote and share with you starting next week. So if you would like to be a sponsor, please contact me with the information below. I also want to credit my resources, Dr. Scott T. Allison, because of his article in Psychology Today back in March of 2020, where he says we can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step program, as well as Jason Waller breaking down the 12 steps. I have been presenting the 12 steps to you since April the 1st as a result of that article and using Jason Waller's breakdown of the 12 steps. All right. And so what I also want to share with you is the information that Dr. Scott T. Allison has talked about in terms of the wisdom derived from the 12-step program. And so they include 7 points that he used from an Al-Anon approach. And the Al-Anon, again, like many other 12-step programs, use the same spiritual principles as developed and has been successful by Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? And so his 7 points include letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, and service to others. For those who need to be reminded and those who want to know what the 12 steps are as we apply them to COVID-19, they include recovery principle number 1. We admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, right? 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. All right. And so today I want to share with you part 2 of my first day of being quarantined with COVID-19. And that was back in November and December. But on December the 3rd, after being tested positive for COVID-19, and sharing with you what that looked like back then, that I want to refresh your memory or to show people that what you see now, I don't look like what I've been through, and how COVID-19 is real, and why I am applying these 12 steps to COVID-19, because I did not do it before, which is why I know I contributed to contracting COVID-19 as well as infecting my family members. So if you want to go back to April the 1st of 2020 to see my introduction of the 12 steps as we battle this COVID-19 pandemic, initiated with the article by Dr. Scott T. Allison, April the 1st. And if you want to go to December the 3rd, where you will see my first podcast of me sharing what COVID-19 looked like on me and being transparent, and you and I going through this together, so that what you see now is not what I used to look like. So let me again show you the picture that I sometimes use as my opening, where side by side, that's me with COVID-19. And next to that is me recovering from COVID-19 one day at a time. And so I want to share with you part 2 of day 1, which was captured on December the 3rd. And then I will follow up with what I have been doing as a result of applying these 12 spiritual principles. I want you to listen. I want you to see. I want you to become open-minded. And if you need to, and I suggest you do, go back as far as you can. But if you want to see my first day, part 1, go to day 83. But here we are on day 84 of being in recovery from COVID-19, as well as showing you the video of, let's see, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to put that on the screen. But first, let me edit it because I don't know what happened. But I'm going to share with you how COVID-19 looked like, what happened, how I got it, and also, just as important, what the process entails. And so what I would like for you to do is to listen to key words, key patterns, right, that will help you to understand why we should take this COVID-19 seriously. And if you want some more evidence, definitely listen intently, okay? So here we go. So we're going to put this on the screen, okay? And let's see, save the changes. Okay, I'm getting good with this, all right? And let's take this one off. All right, let's take this one off, okay? And let's bring up part two. All right, here we go. All right.
And my faith in my God is sustaining me, will sustain
Let, let,
me,
let me start. Let me start from the
and
beginning.
are for her and with her. All right, so one. I just received my telephone call from my niece in Georgia. Okay, so that was part one. So this is continuation of part one. I just received my telephone call from my niece in Georgia, and she's in the hospital, and prayers are for her and with her. All right, so now that we know what we got to do, I said, well, let me do what I normally do and be transparent, okay? So I said, well, I think the best way to do it is to um, journal it, video it, maybe do some live here and there. I don't know. So this is my first attempt because I always like to follow the spirit and at least start it. And the spirit will let me know how to continue it, okay? And so my first reaction, of course, was after everything was, set up and I had time to reflect. I thank God for the recovery process because it wasn't a shock, and it wasn't like, oh, F, you know what I mean? And it wasn't none of that. And it was like, okay, it is what it is. We got to accept it. We got to deal with it. And let's keep it moving, okay? So I thank God for that because that's the only way and the practical way and the spiritual way to handle things that you have no control over. And so I thank God for being in a 12 step program and being able to do the next right thing. So I notified my family. I notified everybody who needed to know, okay? And and it is what it is. Okay, so this morning, after going to bed, and I told you that I was experiencing not being able to take a full deep breath without feeling some, resistance. Like, so now I know that what it is. Now, I don't feel it as much, but I still feel it. So, okay. So now I'm paying attention, okay, and making sure that I don't get any other symptoms. And if I do, I know what to do, okay. But in the meantime, I'm going to pay attention, listen to my body, and keep it moving. So now that I'm in this room for 2 weeks, I said to myself, well, I want to share it in one way, shape, form, or fashion because I am transparent. And so I'm going to, like I say, do these videos at least this first day until the spirit tells me how to do the rest. So I had some ideas about what do I want to do with this time. And there are a few things that I am able to do, and they are, listen now. I told you I'm transparent, right? I have my master bedroom full of stuff once I had to move my three grandchildren in, and in a quick manner. And so rather than go through all the headaches and separation and all that kind of stuff, I just said, look, y'all, just pile everything in my room and we'll deal with it later. So as a result of that, this is what it looks like. Yes, this is what it looks like. Alrighty. Over here is my little coffee, my little TV, okay? But I said, okay. Now, y'all saw what it looks like, right? So I said, maybe I can start going through that stuff. One bag at a time, right? Maybe. For 14 days, I think so. But that's a goal that I'm setting, okay? The other thing I said to myself, well, this will be a great time to continue with my dissertation, right? And I thought that was a great idea. And I still do think it's a great idea. And I definitely want to prepare to do that. All right. So, those are the two things that are doable, in my opinion, with I got the time. It's just a matter of managing it, setting up a schedule, practicing discipline, and checking with you all, and y'all helping me be accountable, right? And so those are my plans. And I'm definitely going to check with my God in terms of, giving me the strength, the courage, the discipline I need to tackle one bag at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time, and I'm going to set up the whole process. Okay, so the bags are already there. I see them, but I need to go and get all my research books, my papers, my printer, my highlighter, everything I need to start completing my dissertation. Okay? So, those are my plans. All right. Of course, I have the TV here. I only watch CNN most of the time, and I only watch two soap operas, and that's The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful, right? And so, um, I have to make sure that I stay practicing staying in a positive mood, because when you're in your bed and and listen, I can say F it, I'm going back to sleep, I'm turning over, so I have to be mindful of the need to just like, I don't feel like doing nothing. Nope. I want to practice being productive while I'm yet in quarantine. Okay? So this way, it could be a win-win. All right? So, um, I'm going to recap, summarize what's going on, and then I'm going to stop. And I'll come back later. Okay? So, today is December the 3rd. I don't know what it is about them threes. My birthday is December the 16th, y'all. I'll be 65. Okay, but today is December the 3rd, the first day of a 14-day quarantine. Okay, and I'm sharing it with you through video, journaling, maybe Facebook Live, and throughout each day, I'm going to be reporting how things are going so that you can help me and I can help you. Okay, So to God be the glory. And my prayers are with other families who are going through this in some severe ways that I'm not. And also those who don't believe it can happen to you, it can. But my prayer is that I'm grateful.
Mhm.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that no matter what's going on, no matter what happens, I am grateful. But I'm also reminded too that we have to get out of that mindset, as difficult as it is, that it won't happen to me or that it won't happen to you. Because reality is it can, and in some cases it has, and in other cases it will. Okay? So, but my prayer goes out to the whole world and what we all are going through, and that my trust and my faith in my God
Mhm.
is sustaining me, will sustain me, and I'm at peace, right? But at the same time, I recognize that I can share with you my experience, my strength, my hope, and my wisdom while I yet am in transition. Okay? And so I'm going to get up again, get some coffee, um, plan out my little agenda for the day, and we'll call it then. Okay. All right.
As you can see, uh, you know, it's amazing when you review uh, past memories, past recordings, past attitudes, ideas, and behaviors. And that was recorded on day one of my first day in quarantine for 14 days, but it was the second recording because after I did the first video, I had to catch my breath. I had to kind of go and take a hot bath because my body was aching like a toothache. And so I just thank my God for preparing me, using me, and giving me the challenge, giving me the opportunity to share with you the truth, being totally transparent. As you can see in that recording, I didn't have these pearly white dentures in. My hair did not look like this. And it goes back to being a part of the 12 step program where it is designed for us to acknowledge, address, and be aware of all the masks we have been wearing all our lives. And through the 12 spiritual principles, we get to find out, particularly in step 4, where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were formulated, and why we chose, why we were forced to pick up and wear these various masks. And then had to be in this state of the pandemic and refuse to wear the mask that's designed to save our lives, right? And when we get to a point like I did, like I am in my recovery process, 31 years later, but one day at a time, listen, I am going to be totally transparent. I am going to be totally honest. I am going to tell you the truth because I am not fearful of what people think or say about me. No, 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 not anymore. As a result of those 12 steps, I am more concerned about allowing the God who created us all, but who created me and knows me, right, to use me. God uses broken, shattered, wounded people like me and like you to do what? To rescue wounded, shattered, broken people like me and like you. So if it takes somebody like me to be totally transparent, to tell you the truth, to keep it 100, to be as raw as I can be, very appropriate, depending on the audience. I've learned through my journey, I can tell the same story different ways depending on the audience. Some get it. Some need to be smacked upside the head with it. Some need to be like, let it infiltrate their spirit. So whatever the spirit tells me to do, according to what target population it wants me to convey the message, then I am flexible. I am obedient, and I will tell the same truth, but in different ways to different people. And I thank God that I've been chosen. Because in the 12-step program, they say all human beings are ill to some extent. And Dr. Scott T. Allison, along with our co-founders and Dr. Carl Jung, right, recognize that people with the disease of alcoholism, with the disease of addiction to any and all things, we cannot combat these physical conditions with physical remedies. No, we need divine intervention. We need divine providence. We need divine light. These 12 steps are spiritual in nature that will allow us to go back and review our history to find out where those negative attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, choices, actions, decisions were formulated and why and by whom, and identify the part that others played in it, but more importantly, to identify the parts that I played in it. And when we allow ourselves to be presented like an onion, and we say to the recovery process, here I am, accept me as I am. And for whatever reason, we know as human beings that because of our ego and pride, it's going to take a form of humiliation for us to be broken down and have that knee-bowing experience that it talks about, for us to cry out, to ask for help from the Creator who created us all. And we began to utilize these 12 spiritual principles, practice them in all our affairs, even with this COVID-19, using a spiritual angle to address any and all physical conditions. So that's why me sharing with you that I know I contributed to contracting COVID-19 because I was defiant, I was rebellious, and this is with the information. Like, I was stubborn, I was selfish, I was self-centered. I had that attitude yet of being invincible. It won't happen to me. It won't happen to my family. But it did. Watching my 2-year-old grandson suffer with fever for days at a time. Me not being able to breathe, not being able to smell, to taste, right? My body felt like a big white toothache, painted brown though, okay? But it goes to show you that I did not want to have that on my conscience. If my loved one died, if those I infected died, if I even died because of what? Character defects, not willing to utilize the information I already had, which is why I know my God is using me to help you so that you don't make the same mistake I made. And so as a result, we know that these 12 spiritual principles help others in any kind of addiction, whether it be Gamblers Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Lust Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Al-Anon, Workaholics Anonymous. What about COVID-19 Anonymous? So if we, like me, get an opportunity to survive, then we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to share with you what we did wrong, how we were thinking, the bad choices, the bad decisions, right? Because some of us will not survive this. But for those who can, you are chosen. But you are only chosen because our Creator know that you will, you can, you must do what you can do to help your fellow man. And that's why I know I am chosen. All right. And so as a result of having that information, where are my glasses? I can't see nothing. Oh, here they go. As a result of showing you that video, I want to give you an update in terms of, as a result of that, which is why we are in day 84, that obviously I got tested again, and I tested negative, and I got the information while doing my show on December the 16th when I turned 65 that I was negative. And I was negative. And so I needed to continue to do what I have been doing and applying it to COVID-19. So went through the whole process. Now, the information about the vaccine came up, right? And when we're in the 12-step program, they suggest that sometimes we hear what people say, and sometimes we read what people write. And there are still times when, okay, I hear you, I read it, but listen, it ain't penetrating. And so when the talk about the vaccine came up, the first question, are you going to take it? Are you going to take it? You know what they did to us before. You know this, you know that, you know this, you know that, you know that. All this confusion, all these doubts, anxiety, People don't know what to do, what to think. I was one of them. But let me tell you, having experienced some of the symptoms, and mine compared to others was not as severe. But watching my 2-year-old grandson go through that, helpless, there's nothing we could do for him. Just watching him. And then watching the networks and other videos and other people's experiences, for some reason, it's still like out there. It didn't penetrate until it hit me and it hit mine. Then it became real. Is that what it's going to take for you? I hope not, but guess what? It might. So as a result of hearing about this vaccine, I began to embark on a journey to do my own homework, to do my own research, to ask a whole lot of questions. And then I looked at the tangible evidence of who was getting it, why they were getting it, but who really needed it, and why they weren't getting it. Okay, so I asked the Spirit to give me a spirit of discernment. Help me to understand what I need to do in order to save my life, the lives of my loved ones, and possibly yours. And so after I did all of that, I, through divine intervention, my church, Canaan Baptist Church, my pastor, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock, my mentor, Reverend Robert Daniels, provided information about how we can obtain the vaccine, right? So I called, went through the process, and I was able to get my first shot, and I'm waiting to be contacted to get my second, right? So here it is. Wait a minute, let's start from the beginning. See, many of you may be from Missouri. Listen.
All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it? All righty, put your Band-Aid on. We'll watch it for about 15 minutes. Okay, okay. And hope.
All right, so you see that I got the vaccine shot, and that was a big behind needle, but that's okay. During my addiction, from alcoholism, drug addiction, prostitution, I got a whole lot of needles, right? For STDs, you name it, right? So I am not afraid of the needle that's designed to help stop the severity of the symptoms should I contract COVID-19 again. So that's what I learned. It doesn't prevent you from contracting COVID-19. It doesn't even stop you from infecting others. What it does, from my understanding and my research, that should I contract COVID-19 and I've taken the vaccination, it will only decrease the severity of the symptoms. And if the symptoms are decreased, there's a possibility that I won't be hospitalized. And there's a possibility that I won't die. So the vaccine is only designed to minimize the severity of the symptoms, decrease the possibility of being hospitalized, and decrease the possibility of me dying. Now, so I'm taking it, and I'm waiting to be contacted for my next dose. And I also need to say that age appropriate, I am the leader of my little family, my grandchildren, okay? They are watching me. They are looking to me to make the right decisions. And guess what? You better believe we practice washing our hands. We practice wearing the mask. We practice social distancing, right? We do contact tracing, who we've been around and whatnot. And age appropriate, we get tested, right? And age appropriate, we are getting vaccinated and already received mine, all right? So I just wanted to share that second part of my first day, and also share with you how applying these 12 spiritual principles in all my affairs, particularly with COVID-19, can help us to understand the need, the importance, the reality that we in this together, we can make a change. We can be a part of the solution. One person at a time, one family at a time, one culture at a time, one community at a time, one city, one state, one country. And if we do it simultaneously in a holistic manner, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19 and these upcoming variants that are already among us. That's why I ask, are you in the prevention mode, intervention mode, or the restoration mode? Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, or are you being responsible regarding COVID-19? But if you embrace the wisdom of the 12 steps, acknowledged by Dr. Scott T. Allison, broken down by Jason Waller, giving you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my decisions both bad and good, my choices both bad and good, and to address any and everything that's going to stop me from doing the next right thing. Which is why these 12 spiritual principles will take you through a spiritual experience, will bring about a spiritual awakening, increase your spiritual maturity so that you can attain a psychic change in the way you used to and now are thinking, behaving, acting. And once we achieve that psychic change based on this spiritual information, not religious, not medical, spiritual information to combat, then you will be ready to do any and everything to save your life, to save the lives of your loved ones, and even your life. All right? So, with the time remaining, let's conclude recovery principle number 6, where we are on now. And let me go through this, not, fast, but just to show you what we've been doing so far. So we know that recovery principles 1 through 5 set the foundation for us to be ready for recovery principle number 6. All right, so let's put this up here and take this down. All right. Okay, let's see. Come on, Edwina. Ooh, I tell you, you just got to have some patience. All right. So we know that 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. The step that needs to be taken 100%. Just like in Alcoholics Anonymous, if we are still in denial, we still have reservations, then we need to backtrack and have them addressed. 2, came to believe that a powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind, that psychic change, right? 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. The fact that I am still COVID-19 free. Why? Because I've been turning my will and my life over to the CDC suggestions, my higher power, doing what is suggested. Why wouldn't I continue to make that decision? And as a result of that, I am practicing these principles in all my affairs one day at a time. All right. So 4 talks about, that inventory that we have been addressing, because we know that the ability for us to ignore what's really going on is based on our ego, our pride, our self-centeredness, our stubbornness, right? Being defiant, being rebellious. What? Come on now. In order to save our lives, we have to take off all those masks, as painful as it is, and put on the mask that will save our lives. And so doing this 4th step will help you address that, okay? And then 5, when we admit it to God, to ourselves, and another human being, the exact nature. So we know that the exact nature is a lot of them, if not most of them, are based in fear. And so in recovery, we know that, fear stands for face everything and recover, instead of forget everything and run. And as a result of doing this practicing these principles in all our affairs, we know that by the time we identify the character defects, we get to the exact nature, we want to present that onion as it is. And all we're asking in the 6th step is that we be entirely ready to have God. I don't care if you call him the creator, the force, you better believe it ain't you, because we can't change ourselves. We just have to have the willingness to be changed. But check this out. The important thing, as expressed by Charles Du Bois, it says, is to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. So we need to be mindful that it only takes one decision not to wear a mask. It only takes one decision not to wash your hands, to social distance. It only takes one decision not to contact trace. It only takes one decision not to be tested to get COVID-19. So you mean to tell me that if I'm not entirely ready to have God remove any and everything that prevents me from using common sense, from wanting to save my life, the lives of my lovers, and your lives, then guess what? Something, yes. Not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you for you and for me to come up with that attitude, idea, and behavior. That's what we used to be, but now with this information, we can become lifesavers by doing the simple suggestions offered by the CDC. Talk to those people who've lost loved ones. Ask them what they would do differently. Ask the one who is suffering right now what they would do differently. Ask those you know, who you have known. Ask them if they're still alive. What was it? What did they do? What didn't they do? If you're not a believer of others, maybe you'll be a believer of what they have to say. Maybe you'll be a believer of me. So, entirely ready to have God remove any and everything that prevents us from doing the next right thing regarding COVID-19. And so we know that we all have the 7 deadly sins. We know what they are. We also know that we have been plagued with all kinds of character defects. And we also know that with Jason Waller's breakdown of the questions prompts us to do some searching, to allow ourselves to be open like a book, to look at that trash can, take the lid off and be willing to dig in there to identify what hasn't been working in your life. To identify why you're stubborn, why you are resistant, right? Why you're self-centered, right? To find out who you are, but more importantly, who you can become, right? And so we went through the questions by Jason Waller. And like I said, we want to conclude the recovery principle number 6. And so after the question, Jason Waller says, here are 2 activities that we can do alone or with our sponsor, and y'all can do them with me, okay? So they're called affirmations of sorts. So let's see what he says. All right. So the first activity, it says, make a list of each character defect of yours, including a very brief definition of it. Then list the ways that you act out behaviorally on the defect and the effect it has on yourself and others when you do. Lastly, write about what your life would be like without the behavior and what principle you may be able to apply instead. Can you see why these steps are so spiritual in nature? Because it gets to the core of our existence. I'm sure no one has asked you questions like this, but in the 12-step program on any and all adversities, this is how we do it. This is how we allow ourselves to be spiritually transformed, right? This is how we get to the exact nature of what we used to be, but more importantly, of what we can become if we apply these principles and the steps that they offer and the exercises that they suggest. So look at this. It says, make a list of each character defect of yours, including a very brief definition of it. So, all right, you need an example? Here you go. One of my character defects is lying. So if I put down there lying, a brief definition of it. Lying, and why do I lie? I lie because I'm afraid I'll be judged or criticized. I lie because I don't want to admit what I did. I lie because I'm afraid of the consequences. I lie because I've been lying so long. I lie because it just seems better to tell a lie than to tell the truth, right? All right, so then list the ways that you act out behaviorally on those defects, right? So it doesn't matter who it is or what it is. The defect of lying is there, always there, particularly if I've been lying most of my life. And until I got into a 12-step program, I didn't know how to tell myself the truth, even though in a lot of cases I knew the truth, but didn't want to expose it, right? So what that did was kept me sicker longer, right? And they say once we tell ourselves the truth, the sooner we can get better. The longer we keep lying to ourselves, the longer it's going to take for us to get better if we live, okay? And then lastly, it says, write about what your life would be like without the behavior. What would it be like without the behavior of lying? Oh my God, when we talk about freedom from recovery, emerge empowered, and then to give hope to others, help others prosper equally in the area of not lying. Woo! What a difference I would be, others would be, and the world would be. And the principle that we would apply is called how it works. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Okay, so let's go to the second activity as we close out recovery principle number 6. And it says, create affirmations. All right, so let's see what that says. Okay, it says here, take each major character defect, like lying, and write 3 to 5 positive statements about living differently. Repeat these affirmations aloud in the morning and evening. Word them in the present tense as if you're already conquered the defect. For example, if lying is the defect, you could write, I am now telling the truth in all matters. Do you see the importance of this activity? Create affirmations. We are a lot of what we think. We demonstrate, manifest our thoughts, even if we are even in denial. But it says take each major character defect, because, oh my God, we have defects that we don't even know about. But take each major defect, right, and write 3 to 5 positive statements about living differently. How would it feel differently if the character defect of jealousy didn't exist? The character defects of stubbornness, the character defects of resentment. How would my life be different, right? And we are creatures of habit. It says repeat these affirmations aloud on a regular basis. Repetition is so important. And it says the present tense, like I don't want to lie now. I don't want to be jealous. I don't want to carry this resentment, right? Because presently the help is available because you have acknowledged, you have awareness of it. And through one of the next steps that we're doing tomorrow is humbly ask for that defect to be removed. And so we can have those confirmations that says, I am now telling the truth in all matters just for today. All right. So it says in the last section of Jason Waller's, it says when a person is capable of enough willingness and honesty to try repeatedly, step 6, on all his faults, without any reservations, whatever, has indeed come a long way spiritually. All right. So we're going to stop there and close that out a little bit more, if it's God's will that we are reunited on day 85. In the meantime, remember, are you in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you being proactive, inactive, reactive, responsible regarding COVID-19? Only you can answer that question. And what I would also like to remind you is to practice these CDC suggestions. They will save your life, as we all know. And we definitely want to encourage you to wash your hands, social distancing, right? Wear your mask, get tested, get vaccinated. And I also want to acknowledge my sponsors again and introduce to you some ones that I will be bringing next week. Crafty Crab Seafood, Free to Hope, Women Do Haul Transportation, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgans of Delaware, Lady T at Morgans of Delaware, Jewelry by Catherine Butler, Divine Light. Upcoming sponsors include Levante and Dorsey and Associates, Christopher Pender with Families and Communities, Ebony Madry, Patchwork, Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey, and Dr. J. Macklin. They are all my sponsors, and I will be sharing their information as well. And let me show you again what it was like getting that test, all right?
All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it?
So I believe in being transparent. I believe in sharing with you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom. But more importantly, I just believe in doing what God has asked me to do with an open heart, an open mind, and a whole lot of willingness. Why? Just to save one life, one family, one culture, one community, one city, one state, one country. And if we do it simultaneously and in a holistic manner, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. It can start with you, and it has already started with me. So be blessed, be safe, and practice the CDC's suggestions. Okay. Ooh, Lord, I love you. Let me put this on. Okay. Right.